Pretend
What's
that
up, what's
cracked
up?
open.
I believe it.
That was a good crack,
There we
Matt.
Yeah, if you don't have a
Yeah.
crack, you have to make the sound with your mouth.
Oh, I could have gotten one of my radios and just done some radio crackles, man.
Yeah.
Baofeng.
Some
Yeah.
boof wang.
Boof wangs, baby. Anyway, that's a totally different rabbit hole. Oh man,
How are y'all
boys,
doing? How are y'all feeling after this past weekend?
I'm tired. My bones ache, but my brain is just delighted with what happened.
Yeah,
What about
I had
you,
a good
Ryan?
time. I need to. I need to do more cardio, I guess. I don't know if that helps with just standing still a lot.
Dude, my feet
Oh.
still hurt.
Yeah.
We were
So
standing for like 14 hours a day for like 3 days.
yeah,
Legit,
one of the
man.
work players I was playing said he was like wearing boots for his work costume,
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
and he said they actually helped like support his ankles,
Oh,
and he
shit.
had Dr.
that's
Scholl's in the
smart.
bottom, like really thick gel soles, and he said that was helping him a lot. So
Straight up thinking about if we do the next one, taking like a standing mat with me. Just like rolling it
yeah.
up and putting it on my
Dude.
cart and then throwing it down when it's game time.
That's an amazing idea because my little push cart had I only used 2 of the levels. I had a bottom level that was basically like, this is where my snacks and trash go.
Yeah,
And
I
beer.
had like bottom level was like my bag, second level was like trash and snacks. I think at one point I had like 15 beers sitting there just ready to rock and roll. Because
Yeah,
Hell
boy.
yeah.
you could buy buckets of beer at this event.
hmm
You just like buy beer by the 5 and go to your table and get trashed and play Warhammer.
Yeah.
It helped me get in like RP mode to crank about 4 beers back.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
One-
Kind of loosens
That was like-
up the brain a bit.
The first day was a little like it took me a little bit to get into it, and then second day it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Start of the day, get 5 beers, throw them down. Boom! I'm in character, baby. Let's go.
There we go. Makes it go a little bit easier. Yeah.
Beer for the beer god.
Blood Light, right?
Bud for the Bud God.
Yeah, Blood Light.
Oh man. Yeah. I guess we should start at the beginning, huh? For y'all not in the know, basically the Warhammer Olympics just happened, and one of the things they do, starting as of last year, is the grand narrative, right? Last year was Scissorbrain or Scissorak or however the hell you're supposed to say that. Yeah, Zabrine. I don't know. It sounds like a dish from like Chili's or something. I like Palette System a lot better, right? It sounds like First Town and Pokemon. It's good.
Yeah, it's also your palate is related to food, also. 'Cause it's,
Yeah.
what you
That
taste
works
with.
too.
Well, that's why the Tyranids were there to eat it, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Or
a
the fact
tasty
that
system.
we painted a shitload of our army at the last minute, so we're using our palettes a lot to,
Oh, yeah.
to
I
get
did.
that going.
My army was good to go. I was chilling.
Yeah, but
All
your-
right.
Your display
all
board, though.
all I painted was 10 Gene Stealers because I
And
wanted the
well,
new
I
ones.
might have. Yeah.
Thank
They look
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Not well enough.
you did a good job.
apparently. But- Just kidding.
Oh, okay. Well,
I got theories on that, but we'll get to that at the
yeah,
second
we
half.
probably
We don't need
wanna
to talk
dig
about
into
that on stream.
We don't need to
All
talk about that.
Anyways,
See us on Slam Sector after dark for that.
Mm.
On Only
just
Slams.
hit us up on Discord and we'll talk to you about it.
Oh, yeah.
But so the general setup, right, for the grand narrative is there's the palette system. We got a whole bunch of Tyranids currently tearing through the palette system. But there's one planet that doesn't show up on scanners or anything. You can see it. They will like go up to it and they scan it, and it like gives off all sorts of weird readings, but it's not on any charts, nothing like that. But it's calling all of these like faction leaders to it. And they're like, hey, what the hell's going on with this planet? And then they discover something called the command entity there. It starts telling them what to do, right? And so then you have the 3 pacts that break out. Is the Pact of Annihilation, who wants to go in there and just kill everyone. The Pact of Enlightenment, who wants to work with the command entity. And the Pact of Resistance, who... What was really their goal? I don't even know what their goal at the beginning was.
The Path of Resistance, their goal initially was to free the command entity, but let it just do whatever it wanted.
Oh, they wanted
And
to
they-
release it into the Imperium, I think, right?
Yeah, they basically didn't want it under any like Imperium control.
Yeah, they just wanted to let it out.
Yeah, they were kind of like the opposing faction to the Pact of Enlightenment, and then the Pact of Annihilation was just like,
Pact of Annihilation was like, we're just gonna kill everybody. Everybody's got a
gonna kill
skull. We'll
everybody.
take skulls for the blood god, baby.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of like our setup as far as what we were getting into going into the narrative. We first got there day one, and we just kind of got some general orders. There was like, I don't know what it was for you guys. I guess for some context, Ryan and I were both Pact of Annihilation, and Matt was in Pact of Enlightenment. I took Gene Stealer cults. Ryan took Night Lords. Matt took Blood Angels. And so day one, we kind of got our general orders for Pact of Annihilation. It was break the enemy lines, destroy their command structure, just kill everyone. What was it for you guys?
Yeah, for Pact of Enlightenment, it was the very first thing, like morning of game one, was preserve your command structure.
So it was
Essentially,
the opposite of us. The opposite of us.
Yeah.
Basically, stop
Yeah.
stop the Pact of Annihilation from messing your shit up.
Exactly.
So yeah, to explain it a little bit, there was basically like 3 sort of points tracks at this narrative. And the first day, it wasn't really clear to us how that functioned. But there was fame and infamy, there was pact goals, and then there was just winning the game.
The missions. Yeah.
And so, like when they're talking about, cut off the head or preserve your command structure, those were usually like the pact goals, I think, right?
Those were the pact goals.
Mm-hmm.
Fame and infamy was usually like having your warlord do something or be somewhere specific.
Yeah.
And then
The mission was the mission.
The mission was just the mission. They were just normal crusade missions from the book, which I think if there's like one, like my biggest point of feedback would be to come up with original missions for it. Don't just have them be the ones from the book.
Or at least modify them. I would even be happy with some modifications, or like, there were a few missions that were just like, okay, I'm looking at my army, I'm looking at your army. We know how this is going to go already, which it was liberating, right? Because one side could be like, this mission's gone, I'm going to work on the other 2 points. And this happened in 2 of my games. It almost became like a bartering thing. It's like, listen, I don't actually care if you're in my deployment zone, but you care a lot if you're in my deployment zone.
Yeah.
I'm not going for scoundrel stuff. Leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone. And so the moment that dialogue opened up, you're like, but in 40K, that happens in the lore every once in a while, right? Everyone's making like backroom deals all the time. So I didn't feel too bad about it, especially if you had someone that had some, kind of like narrative chops to them. And so you start kind of like talking in character to someone, they talk in character back, or vice versa. Yeah. It made things fun, despite it initially being kind of like weird, like, wait, what the hell? Why am I? If you achieve one button push anywhere on this board at any point in the game, I lose. And it's just, it was crazy.
Well,
some of the missions
talk about it a little bit later, but the second game that I played, I won on the first turn. Opponents didn't even have a chance to do anything. We'll talk about that in a second. But like, I think 2 kind of important things to keep in mind in the context of the event was, one, we were kind of like getting orders, but for the most part, they were kind of up to your own interpretation of what that was, unless you just went and like talked to one of the characters that was walking around. So you could go talk to and interact with the NPCs, and they would kind of like, they would give you more specifics on what they wanted you to do for those.
But they never really gave things in game terms. Like they never said be within 6 inches of this, or like it was all in character for them. Yeah, which was cool. Because
I remember at one point during one of our games, I don't remember which character it was. It might have been the Inquisitor guy. He like walked into the forge when we were playing, and he started saying like, deploy like we need you guys to deploy your teleport homers or whatever. It's like,
actually,
what does that mean?
So I figured that out. I went up to him, and like people were interacting with him like he was a TO at first, and he was like, people were asking like, do I have to be within 3 of the edges? All he said was, on the peripherals, I need teleport homers lighting up the sky. We need to see ground coverage from the air, which mattered a lot later on, and not a way that I thought would help me. But I came up to him and I was like, Commander, I have a tech. This happened in turn 2 of the game that I was sitting down in. So like the faction orders literally changed mid game.
Yeah, it was in the
during
middle
my
of the
move
game.
phase. It was so funny. So I go up to him and I'm like, Commander, I have a tech priest, a tech marine ready to perform these duties. Just to be clear, out on the flanges, on the flanks of the battlefield, to know the parameters. He said yes, and then he kind of like broke character for a second. He's like, single action, and I was like, all right, cool. So
single action.
Yeah, exactly. That's all the detail I had. So I was like, okay, there's technically a tech priest riding around in the empty rhino that just dropped off the frothing at the mouth death company with the chaplain. So I'm gonna say he drives the rhino over here and gets out, and you know, goes ahead and sets up his homework and does it. So that was a button push, and I was like counting button pushes basically. So that was a really fun one, and I talked it out with my opponent. My opponent didn't balk at it or anything, and when I reported it with my opponent, it worked out. So that adaptability and that kind of like self drive to take the initiative on the vague details went a long way, I think, for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it took me at least like a game or two to kind of like understand how vague things were and how open interpretation was, and that like the in-character dialogues were telling you specifically what to do for those things. Initially, I was just kind of like, "Oh, this is some cool flavor text," but then later, I listened very carefully for like those specific tasks. Once I started getting into that, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then like once you start getting those orders, you kind of have to determine for yourself which of the 3 like point tracks, I guess, is more important to you. Like, do you care more about winning the mission? Do you care more about advancing the pact goal? Do you care more about gaining fame and influence?
Yeah.
So once you sit down with your opponent, figure out the mission, figure out which thing is more important to you. Do you care more about helping your pact achieve their overall objectives, or do you care more about your own personal glory as a world?
Yeah, sometimes you could do them all together, but like if you had break their lines and then infamy was like lead from the back with your leader, it might be kind of hard to like you can't really do both of those.
Yep.
So we got Sean in chat asking who the guy with the glasses is since we ate him.
We ate. Well, this is.
And it turns out.
So we
Matt's
after Ryan and I read Gene Father, we figured out how to make clones. So
there we go.
We got Clone Matt.
Nothing shady about that at all. I feel pretty happy about it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the beginning of the grand narrative and the overarching story, and kind of like what we were doing while we were there. Here was our glorious faction leaders. This was Inquisitor Van Cantrail, I think. And then she was the Enlightened leader, and then the Pact of Annihilation leader was Vernal Thed.
Who was? I'm trying to remember what the name of the Enlightenment leader was.
She was just called the.
I don't think she had like
not Enlightened leader.
The Exalted.
Exalted leader. It was Exalted.
Exalted leader. Okay, yeah. So she was like a mysterious identity even from the beginning.
Yeah, she was just called the Exalted leader. So
nothing shady about that.
Do with that information what you will.
I just recognized. I'm pretty sure that like tabard she's wearing right there. Isn't that something from Old Empire or Old Republic or whatever the new Star Wars setting? High Republic.
Oh. It looks.
Yeah. Doesn't Alex's robes have that symbol on it? I could be wrong.
Moons? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's just like moon phases. I don't know.
Maybe. My Star Wars is a lot more rough
information what you will.
Ooh.
Anyway, here we go. Friday, 10 a.m. Grand narrative has begun. It actually began on Thursday because that's when we went and signed up. But that was just
they repeated the in-character stuff on Friday that happened on Thursday. So
you
had 2 chances to catch the initial
for people that were still traveling on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But This was when we got our Emperor's Tarot. We all got tarot cards when we got there. I got the Hound. What did you guys get?
I got a Astartes.
And I got the Young Warrior.
The Young Warrior.
Yeah.
So those I actually like that a lot. That concept. We basically used the tarot cards to determine our matchups when we got to a specific zone. So you would go to when you got to your I forget what they call them, battle zones, battlegrounds, something like that.
Battle Zone, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, when you got to the battle zone that you were assigned to, you would go find the table that matched your tarot card, and then you would be matched up against somebody else that had the same tarot card from a different pack.
And it was possible for you to exchange tarots with your battle group because some battle groups were very close knit. Okay, it was one time we ended up never doing it.
Yeah, I don't think our group ever did either.
Yeah, so you could look at the matchups and be like, "Oh hell, I don't got nothing against Tau, or I don't have any armor cracking against knights," and you could talk amongst your battle group and be like, "Okay, let's go ahead and exchange tarots." But then you were stuck on the alternate path, right? And so that would, but that mechanic seemed less useful to people who were kind of like in pickup battle groups. And a battle group is a bundle of 10 people that are in the same, for lack of a better term, like instance of going through the event. Like those are your comrades. You're going to be you're going to be party. You're going to be like next to them in other zones, and in the tables like next to you and everything like that. And you're all in the same zone and kind of commiserate amongst yourselves. So
yeah, I guess that's something we didn't really talk about, is that 3 packs were split up into battle groups of 10 people each. I think maybe your battle group had less people in it, Matt.
Yeah, I got the rounding error battle group for Pact of Enlightenment. I want to say we had like a soft 7 at first day, and then we dwindled a person a day. I think at the end of it we had like 5 at the start, and then one dude had to leave early because he was checking his phone as we were on the way to game 6, and it was just like wife at the top of his phone, and he would hit he muted it and close it, and then wife. And I saw a wife pop up again. He's like, "Guys, I gotta go." Really poor bastard. But I wish him the best. I hope everything was okay. Fight the good fight, brother. They had ringers at this event, so no one got like host. His opponent wasn't like without a player or anything, and it all made sense. Like, they worked it out. So
the registration was actually kind of cool too, because they like did all of that in character.
Dude,
you basically had to like go up and talk to the Valhallan lady whose name I forget.
Ooh, actually, yeah, I got it pulled up. Let me find her name real quick.
And she, the Valhallan lady, when I went up there to register, she would like, "What's your name, Commander?" And then like you say your commander name. Well, my commander's name was very long. It was Septicus Dredge Palaxis. What was the full title? I don't remember what the title was.
It was something wild.
Oh no! What was the title? The Bubotic Horror of Cult Tenebris. I think that's what it was.
Nice.
So that was the full title, and I walked up there, and she like asked for my legal given name, and I told her my name, and then she looked at the commander name, and she's like, "Oh, we can't say that name out loud." It was so funny.
Treated it like infamy or something. That was really cool. It was Colonel Kulov that we were interacting with at the recruitment table. Yeah.
Kulov.
Keep that in mind.
She was pretty cool.
Important. Yeah.
Kulov even, yeah.
But yeah, the whole registration was all in character and stuff. That was like, there was the hooded lady that gave us all our tarot cards and was very spooky about it.
Yeah.
She said, was she the one that said that you look like you were warrior stock or whatever?
Oh yeah, so that was Kulov. I walked up and she had just dealt with you, Jordan, and I walk up and she like looked up as I'm talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, you're fighting stock. I hope you're on our side." And I was like, "Baron Captain Thaddeus Ralphos, Thaddeus Ralphos." She was like, "Oh, all right, glad to have you here." And then the rest of it. And what they would do, at least for some of the people, is they would do the very brief introductions, hand you your goodie bag, your swag bag, which we'll talk about that in a little bit because that was a lot of fun. And then they would basically be like, "Next," and move along. It was like a very almost from like Full Metal Jacket or something. Like it in my head, I painted it up like that, but it kind of had that vibe. You know what I mean? Like you're being
Yeah.
drafted or something.
And then after that, we went and looked at the store. We browsed. We bought some stuff. We were standing in line. Guy walks up that was working at the store. He's got a whole bunch of like little like Space Marine head things that he's handing out to people. I think they're like pins or keychains or something. And he was like asking people like, "What space?" Or he just said, "What army do you play?" He didn't specify Space Marines. He just says, "What army do you play?" And Matt was like, "Blood Angels or something." Cool. I don't. Ryan, did you say Templars or something?
Yeah, I said Night Lords.
Night Lords.
And he was like,
He's like, and then he looks at me and I say, "Gene Stealer cults." And he's like, "Ew, why?" And then he walked away, and then he walked back a little bit later towards us, and he looked at me, and he goes, "Ugh, gross."
Every time he passed by, he like shuddered. He was
like
like,
made
oh
a comment or shudder. Yeah, it was funny.
It was awesome.
But yeah, then we fast forward to day one. This is when we like meet all of our faction leaders and stuff. They tell us their grand goals, and then we start rolling dice. Let's see. Oh, this is the one battle zone I think maybe two that I didn't get to play in. So this was Batterin's Valley. Man, this table is nuts. I wanted to play on that table.
I almost played on that one,
cool
but at the last minute they had to move me.
No.
Yeah,
so
dude,
sad.
it was some blue balls. I was like, please let me play on the fucking Mystics temple map, and they were like, no, I'm sorry, we need you over here.
Oh
So,
no.
Yeah, Blood Angels would look really good on that. Just like red
yeah.
running across that.
Absolutely. But that zone was really cool. Like all the maps were really cool.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Yeah, the first match I was still like, kind of getting my bearings. We got it figured out a little bit. We were playing. Ryan and I were down in the scars, is what they were calling it.
Yeah.
And then you were up in the forge, right, Matt?
Yeah, I had the forge for like for 3 out of my 6 games, and like each of these like biomes or whatever you want to consider them, basically like theaters of war, is a different ballroom in the Hyatt, essentially. So instead of being like report to ballroom Atlanta 3, it was like go to the 5-fold forge, commander. And then it's like every little part of this, between like it being a tarot instead of a table number, and it being a biome or theater of war instead
like
of
all in character, all in universe.
It was so cool. Yeah, like every little corner was just
flavor.
painted.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like
there was even the what is it, the deep dome forest or whatever, deep forest dome. You walk into that. You walk into that room and it just like smells like woodland shit. Just like
really?
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Every room had like some sort of scent going, had music, had
temperatures
like
were different in each room.
Yeah, they had decorations and stuff. The lighting was different. Like the scars was like really dark. Not really dark, but it was dark for a gaming room.
And it was like red, like red and like pink ambient lighting.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we played our first game. We kind of got our bearings, figuring out what we were supposed to do. And let's see, what do we do? Oh. The command entity seeks to wrap us all in a veil of lies, but I will not be caught in those knots. Yeah. Our
absolutely
leader.
So how'd y'all do on your day one games? Like, do you remember who you played and kind of like roughly the synopsis of each game lore wise?
I don't even remember what my first matchup was.
I remember I played an Ultramarines player named Jesse in the Scars. He was a really cool guy, really laid back.
I do remember my first match.
I kind of like the mission was like, mission was finding the tunnels, and like he got really unlucky because both the tunnels popped up on my side of the table, and like he never got a tunnel at all. And like I pushed out with I kind of like an armored company of Night Lords to some extent, and I pushed out real hard and trapped him in like the back corner of the table. I think his pact goal was to like defend his lines though. I don't honestly remember like what we decided happened with that, because like I was in his deployment zone, but I didn't really understand the pact goals at that point. But I won that game. But it was a fun game. You know, I did achieve fame in that game because I was able to understand that. Like the servitor guy in that room came around and like answered my questions.
CD-17.
Yeah, CD-17. He was a cool guy. But yeah, that was my first game, and
My
it was
first
cool because it
matchup.
was like in that dark room, and I was Night Lord, so like my guys looked really cool on the table, dark blue and everything.
Yeah, Midnight Clad, baby.
That's a good way to enter the campaign, man. Night Lord's coming in from the darkness. I like it.
That's how I entered and how I exited. My last game was against yours also.
Yeah, same,
Nice.
yeah.
That's funny.
My first matchup was Knights against a relatively new player. But I was playing like very melee heavy GSC, and playing that into Knights went probably about as well as you could probably expect it to. It was actually pretty close, but it was kind of a similar thing with Ryan, is that the tunnels kept popping up on her side and not on my side. And so I wasn't able to score those points until later in the game. So I think the score ended up being within like 5 or 10 points. It was a good game. Her knights looked really good until I realized that they were themed based off of LSU. As a Dogs fan, I can't stand for that. So yeah.
Cannot abide. They had the Dogs had a game that weekend too, didn't they? On Saturday,
Yeah, they
right?
kicked ass, dude.
Yeah, dude.
As usual.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Piss on.
Oh yeah, well, coming from the Tech guy.
That's a Georgia Tech saying. That's a Georgia Tech saying. How about them dogs? Piss on them. That's like the response.
That's funny as hell. My first game was it was interesting. It was Space Marines versus Space Marines. So I played against a very. I've always wanted to do Raptors. I've just never like enjoyed painting green, especially since my first army was Death Guard, and I decided to not do green for them. So I've always been like, maybe I want to do green, maybe I don't. Anyways, this guy was living my alternate dream by running like a really nicely painted Raptors army. Just yeah, he had the blue glow, like object source highlighting coming off all the headlights and stuff. Phobos based, and he got very lucky with a very tricky maneuver by getting turn one, because this wouldn't happen with if he'd lost turn one. But he turn one gets Reavers with a lieutenant of some kind in the Phobos detachment to tag up both my transports that are loaded up with like melee bombs essentially, and the vehicles are just stuck spinning their wheels against this oddly tough group of raptors that I can't get rid of turn one. And so like I can't deliver my payload, and his army is just like focus firing a bunch of anti-tank like stuff at it. And it like if he could have kept that stall going, I would have been in serious trouble. But once that broke, them boys had that dog in them, and they got out and just ran rampant. Blood Angels just went buck wild on them. But yeah, we were doing the thing where you had to like move the supplies, and it was kind of like kicking the football. And once I had him like pretty damn well tabled, it was just like, yeah, dude, I'm taking these boxes wherever I want. By the way, my commander's in the center, so point of fame for me. Felt good.
Yeah, that was kind of our first round games. Looks like this is all just kind of introductions. This was our Pact of Annihilation leader.
Yeah,
he was a former Cadian Sergeant Vernal Fedge. Very very corn, like blood for the blood god. Hell yeah, talking about taking skulls. Like it. I don't know if we were supposed to, but people in our pact were just like taking tallies of like every single model they killed, and like keeping a tally of their skulls. Do you still have your tally, Ryan? It was on your.
Yeah, I do.
You kept your tally on your badge, right?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. It's in this room somewhere. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
War is all that matters. Blood and combat, blood and skulls. Dude, the guy that played him was so much fun.
He had a ton of energy. Yeah, it was great. Like point, every single.
Ryan and I were like watching you play one of your games because it was going a little long, and then we're just sitting there like drinking Bud Light. Jesus Christ. Well, there's the punchline, by the way. Bud Light. We're sitting there drinking Bud Lights, and then he walks up and he goes, my favorite beverage, Blood Light. Like, yeah.
It was so funny, man. And he was like,
Yeah, he did a great job.
in his initial briefing, he was like very cutthroat, but he was a lot more coherent in his speeches and like fast, a little bit faster in his pacing on like dialogue. And then as he gets more and more corrupted, like more ramshackle armors coming on him, more gore is on him, more skulls are appearing on pikes that he's carrying on his back, and
So like all of
like,
the characters over the course of
starts
the
to lose his
weekend
mind.
started evolving.
It was
Yeah.
great,
based
man.
on what was happening in the story.
Yeah.
Like by like day 2 and day 3, he was just like, yes, and he would go around. So like there was the Lords of War. They're like the leaders of the 3 factions, and then there was the Vox Localum, is what they called, like the NPCs that were in each zone. Yeah, and he would go around to the Imperial ones and just like troll them, like in character troll them, and it was, it was all in good fun. But he would just like go up and taunt them and be like, "My champions have killed yours, yes."
Well, there was the
It
shit
was
that
just
happened with
funny.
the Valhallan lady too, right?
Yeah, so on day 2, the Valhallan lady was like, her left eye, she had like a milk contact in it that like whited it out, and there was like a big scar under it with blood. And like on day 2, we were in the frozen zone. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Ice Lock.
Yeah, the Ice Locked Fortress. And I asked her, I was like, "So what happened with your eye?" And she was like, "Oh, the Annihilation Commander came up to me yesterday and said that my skull was nice and symmetrical and would be perfect for the throne, so I made it unsymmetrical by, scarring myself and, cutting into myself." She was like, "We must defy the forces of chaos at all levels." And I was like, "Okay." I am one of those forces of chaos, but, yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was awesome.
Oh yeah, there's the
tarot.
tarots.
Here's the tarot cards.
Oh man, it was like the art on these tarots, and it's the art from the Arcs of Omen stuff right before 10th dropped. Those videos are great, by the way. If you just want some like moody, like premonition stuff, if you check them out on YouTube, they probably still have all the little teasers of it. They were selling this tarot deck, and that product sold out in like, I think you could measure it in minutes rather than hours. Like it was crazy how fast that went. But I still got mine
on the second day. I wish I had.
Yeah,
because they ran out. Here's my skull tally, by the way.
Hell yeah,
yeah, that's
Lalo,
good.
I don't know how well you can see that.
And what are the reds?
The red tallies are characters.
Nice,
dude. I think
like 130.
If I remember right, it's like 138 skulls. So
hell yeah.
Some people in my battle group had
our battle group had 309.
Yeah.
And you know what? 100 of those were mine because we had to play our last game against each other, and because I'm playing GSC and my shit was respawning, he got 100 skulls just off of our game.
God. That's just farming at that point. What is this, World of Warcraft? Come on now.
Yeah, some of the people in our battle group said like they went up against Imperial Guard players and that like really upped their skull tally.
It was like Tau, GSC, and like Guard. Basically, anything with just like small, like bunch of small little chaff shit. You're just like collecting skulls.
So funny.
All my games were against Space Marines or some variant of them, except for my last game. So my harvest was difficult.
Oh yeah, here's this guy was in our battle group.
He was the voice of Excess, I think was his name.
Yeah,
he was in our battle group.
Yeah. Yeah, this was like before the second match.
Okay, one thing I'll say, if you do any of these, definitely just have some kind of cosplay.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I feel like I was underdressed not going in a costume.
Same.
Yeah, day one is like Fedge would come up to our table and be like, ugh. And like I wanted to be like, act like a Chaos Marine with them, but I was just like
I'm not in
dude in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
The best costume I had was I had these little wings on my glasses as my Night Lord wings. But that wasn't
pretty
much.
Cute.
It helped the second day when I brought this.
Oh, these are
it's
all
not really a costume, but having this to hold up and shake around kind of
went a long way.
helped me get in character,
between the pile of like skull doodads that you had on a rope and your bat wing antlers, I was able to find you in a crowd pretty easily. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, game 2, we were in the Forge. At least Ryan and I were. I think Matt, were you in the Forge too, or were you?
Day 2, I started in Ice Lock Fortress, and then I went
Well,
to
game 2 of day 1.
Oh, game 2 of day 1, I was in the Forge again. Yeah.
So we were all 3 in the Forge. I played against an Alpha Legion guy, and we were playing this Screaming into the Void mission, where basically there are just 3 objectives lined up on the edge of the defender's deployment zone, and you have to basically attacker, run up, do an action on it, and if you do that action, it takes the entire battle round to do the action. And if you complete it, then you basically just win the game. The defender can't really win. So I won this turn 1 with a unit of aberrants that could infiltrate. So they infiltrated. They walked up to the objective, pushed the button. The entirety of his army shot everything they possibly could into them, including like a Land Raider, Predator Annihilator, a whole bunch of shit. And also survived a big old blob of possessed coming up and smashing them. I think he killed like 3 or 4 of them with all of that. And then they punched back, killed all the possessed, and I won the game. That was it. Turn 1.
Absolutely bonkers.
Rough.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My I had the same mission, and I was playing against an Orcs player, and through like a quirk of kind of asymmetrical games, it ended up being a 2 versus 1. And what they did at that point was they found another Orcs player that needed a partner, and they were basically like, "Hey, each of you bring 1,000 points versus this Blood Angel player's 2,000 points." And the way that the narrative was set up is they told you if you were attacker or defender. You didn't really roll off unless like you really didn't know. But most of the time, I want to say in like 4 out of my 6 games, the narrative determined if I was attacking or defending based on the mission, right? Or based on like the current events that were going on instead of just rolling for it, which felt good too. And so they basically had 2 full 3,000. Each person brought 3,000 points of Crusade, but you would pull 2,000 in from that pool of models that you brought. And so they looked at each other and they like commiserated, and they were like, "Okay, we got to get in and push the button as fast as possible. Let's bring everything that has assault weapons, because you can, as long as you're eligible to shoot, you can still push the button after advancing. And let's bring everything with the fastest speed." And they had 6,000 units to pick from. And like I played against basically the Orc Speedwagon version of it. It felt like I was like yeah, I was a speed bump on like a Fury Road style Orc recreation. It was hysterical, man. So that button got pushed pretty damn quick. But my commander, yet again, found fame by killing the warlord and being at the center. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, my second game was pretty rough. I was the attacker, and so my goal was to get in and get on these objectives and like, push it before they could get to it. My opponent was Grey Knights, who pretty much all their units had OC3 and could teleport around the battlefield at will. So the mission was just a wash for me from the get-go. But I mean, it was still a fun game. I took out a lot of Grey Knights. I can't remember. I think at that point I was still getting a read on like Fame and Infamy and like the Pact objectives. I don't even remember what my Pact objective was for that mission.
I think
I was just trying to
that
like.
was the point when we got the like cut off their head, kill their warlords and leaders.
Oh yeah. So I did. Oh yeah. I think I can't remember. I did kill Castellan Crow in that mission.
Man, I don't love
but-
bringing named characters to these things, to be honest.
Yeah, he had Castellan Crow and Khal Drogo in his list.
Yeah,
Feels
that's a
kind of
choice.
weird in like a heavy narrative campaign. It's like I killed Khal Drogo.
Game of Thrones?
I don't know. he was a good guy. He was one of those players that's like a very fast, like rolling, doing this, rolling,
all
rolling.
of
But
my
he was also
opponents were great, but I definitely had some that were like tournament players.
Mhm.
yeah, he was very nice. He played Chaos Marines also, and like there's a few times I would like forget to pact and be like, hey, you should pact this here, and so he was helpful. He was nice, but it was rough fighting those Grey Knights. But yeah, it was still fun. The only complaint, the only complaint I have about the Fivefold Forge and kind of the whole narrative in general was at a lot of the tables they put like sand on the tables, like kind of sprinkled it over the terrain to kind of help it mesh into the playmats.
Yeah, and it was
And then
magnetic.
Fivefold Forge in particular, it was metal dust. So all my Night Lords are magnetized. Now have a little ring of magnetic dust stuck to
Yep.
their magnets under their bases, and it's like all over my carrying tray, and like it's in the pockets of the pants I was wearing. Like by the end of the narrative campaign, my pockets were full of sand. Because
Oh
like
my
if you rolled
God.
on the table
Yeah.
and you go to pick them up, you get some of that grit.
Get a
I
little
could feel it.
grip of dust in your hand.
It's sparkle. It's
Yeah,
it's kind of like it's got like a bit of a glitter element to it, where it'll stick to your skin for a little bit, and then it ends up like
yeah,
in your dice tray and all that stuff.
yeah. I
Um,
I told someone my plan was to get a really strong magnet and try to suck it all off all my miniatures, and then
there
scrape
you
it
go.
off and use it to base some other miniatures.
There you
Hey,
go.
there
Like
you go.
brave little
Free
toaster style.
basing. Free
Yeah,
basing
man.
Yeah.
material.
Something that was really funny. My final time, I played 3 of my games in the Fivefold Forge, and when I went to my table at the Fivefold Forge the last time, I could see little rings of the dust where like people's bases had been when they picked them up. It was really funny.
Oh
Like you could
yeah,
see
yeah.
like track marks of previous armies across the battlefield. It
Yeah.
was the rings of the bases, but it felt cool. It was like, oh yeah, this battlefield has been used and abused
Yeah.
before.
Well, I like
And
went to
I
I went to my table in there, and it's just like I can see that there was a night base right there.
It
I get
actually
what they were
helped me in
going
one game.
for, and it looked cool, but it's like,
Sure wish they didn't.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got a survey in our email today, and that's like I'm gonna give them high marks and everything, but I am gonna leave a comment like, please don't do this again.
Yeah.
Find another way to have these effects.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So here we go. After our first match, the story started developing. Pact of Annihilation was getting fucked. We were not doing well. Pact of Resistance were doing pretty good. Pact of Enlightenment were surviving. Then we did our game 2s. Oh, this guy. This guy was the
Hierophant something.
What was that? Stratus
The
Sanctorum?
Stratus Sanctorum,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like in the
He
lore,
was
it
the
was
Vox
like an area
Locale
that
of
had just like a bunch of different chambers with each chamber had a different idol to a different god.
Yeah,
and
it was
some
like
of
a
them were
bunch of
even the God
religious centers like in these buildings. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his name was Severin Grawl.
Severin Grawl. Yeah. He didn't trust anyone. He didn't trust the Inquisitor from the Pact of Enlightenment. He didn't trust anyone. And he grew, just like as the event went on, even more distrustful of literally everyone. And he was very loud and vocal about it.
Oh yeah, dude, I could hear him on the other side because I want to say the Sanctoral was like the longest, like it was like the farthest like shot that any of the halls could do. The rest of them were
Yeah,
pretty
it was.
square rather than rectangular.
Yeah,
Right.
And I played one game at the far end, and he was at the podium at like the front end, and I could hear very clearly most of the words he was shouting as he was as he was shouting. He's like, "Damn, you don't say."
Doesn't look like she had the staff at the beginning.
no,
She had
no,
it
no. Yeah,
at
so
the evening.
Did
every
she?
Lord of War's costume evolved
Yeah.
as the days went on. Yeah,
So
so like,
this
you can
is
see
this
the
is the
Inquisitor
end
gets
of day
more.
1, I think.
I think that's the end of day 1. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Inquisitor gets more combat focused. Our guy got
He's a little
more
more
blood
bloody,
on him, and
more
then got
fucked
more
up.
armor.
Yeah, he's got his Cadian armor on. And she now has a staff with a big ol' eyeball on it. Do with that information what you will.
Could still be Eldar. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, look, they even said it right here. Swapped his robes for armor, added a flak jacket and shoulder guards, bearing the sigils of his patron god. And the exalted leader of the Pact of Resistance now carries a staff. Look at that. Yeah, this was the scars. This was where.
Oh,
No,
No, this was
that guy's
that's
Thunder Punch. The Thunder Punch guy I was telling you guys about
this guy.
in the bandana.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy's the Thunder
Oh,
Punch
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
He's the what are they called from Katachan? He's the Katachan guy.
Yeah. Wait, this isn't scars.
He-
What is
This
Yeah, he
this was
crazy,
the
man.
special operations after.
Oh,
So
boarding
like
actions.
the grand narrative stuff would end at like around 8, but then after that they had like Kill Team Into the Dark games that you could play
Yeah.
to get extra points for your faction.
Yeah.
And
Or
I think
Orbital
all
Sigma
of those
1.
were supposed to be
Yeah.
happening on the space station above the planet.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
Orbital Sigma 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember, so everyone basically at the day at the end of the day 1 and day 2 briefs, they would do a call for volunteers, and they would kind of like explain their plight and be like, "We need volunteer kill teams, and we need volunteer boarding parties. Please, if you are able to, requisition your troops for these, we need volunteers." And every faction had like a reason to want to take the station. And day 1,
Yeah.
Inquisitor Van Trail was like, "My equipment's on that station, and I want my equipment." It was really funny,
Yeah.
dude. It was great.
I think
Was
Fedge's
that-
reason was just kill them all. Still
Yeah.
at that point.
At that point, that like all through day 1, and then I think the first half of day 2, he was just like, all we're here to do is fucking kill everyone. We don't give a shit. Skull for the skull throne, blood for the blood god, all that good shit. That's kind of like what his whole thing was
Yeah.
for the first part of it. Spoilers. Then there was the previews. We didn't stay for the previews because we were gonna see them online, and I was tired.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I was
Like-
exhausted.
In hindsight, I definitely would have gotten a room, even though this was like in our city.
Get a room.
Because like if we had a room, we'd have been able to get a lot more sleep. And also, I probably would have done like the special operations, because like I could have taken the bulk of my army upstairs and then just brought a kill team down.
Yeah.
So
I was
yeah,
trying to carry
getting
my
a room
army
is
around as visibly as possible most of the time. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even just like, I kind of wish I had the ability to just take power naps, because there were a few times where I was completely exhausted. We had like 90 minutes to 2 hours to kill. I didn't want to walk through the store again, because every time I do that too long, I end up spending 3 digits on some bullshit I don't need.
Oh, yeah.
And
I spent so much money as it is.
I was like, at a certain point, I was just like, boys, if I'm laying on the floor, I promise I'm not like passed out or something. I just got to pop out and straighten my back. And so, like,
Oh
we're doing
yeah, on
friggin' field yoga.
day 1, Matt passed out on the floor as we were waiting for the briefing, I believe. 'Cause I think we
Yeah.
finished our last games kind of quickly.
Yeah.
well, the
Uh,
briefings weren't until like 2 hours after the last games ended. Presumably, they had to like
Yeah.
tally a bunch of shit and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were late. But yeah. So then we came back for day 2, and here's our boy, the Inquisitor Van Cantrail.
He got his
he
equipment.
got his war gear from
Yeah.
Orbital Sigma 1.
Apparently, the kill teams for Enlightenment whooped some ass. So I think this was for like the final day, but he was just like, "That was so good, y'all got the gear." It was great, man. It was amazing. Like this guy looked really good in this gear. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, and like all the Lords of War were like professional cosplayers, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people who are like the Enlightenment and Resistance, they identified themselves as professional cosplayers.
Mhm.
Fedge didn't really say that, but like he made his outfit. They all made their own outfits. So he's like a high level cosplayer.
Yeah.
Uh
I mean, I would say that's
Yeah, they got
professional
him on-
quality right there. You know,
Yeah.
This
That's-
is
that's
how he
absolutely-
came in on day 2. He's pretty like
I don't know if that's how he makes his
fucking
living, I guess is what I was
gnarly.
trying to say.
he's like wearing chainmail now. He's got all these heads and skulls on his back. He's ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
And there's Arlie.
I'm just
in the Pact of Enlightenment. Yeah, you can probably see where this is going.
You
now,
mean
right?
Resistance?
Resistance, yeah.
yeah.
You can probably see where this is going now.
Those feathers don't mean anything. She might be a little Eldari still. You never know.
I don't think she was ever supposed to be Eldari.
Well, I
she
think
alluded to it at one point,
in
but
the
she didn't.
first grand narrative, she played the like Eldar lady.
The Farseer, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I when she showed up, I was like, oh, she's Eldar, right?
I think people thought she might be Eldar because she like talked about seeing into the future.
She talked about the
Uh,
the skeins of fate and stuff like that.
the Skeins of Fate, which she was an Eldar. Who else could that be? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Could be anyone.
I don't know. I couldn't possibly say.
Yeah, then we moved on to day 2. Um, I think I played in the Forge again for my first
Yeah, we
match.
were in the Forge for our first game.
Mhm.
Who did I play against? I don't remember.
Well, I played a Space Wolf player who brought like 20 of the Thunderwolves,
Oh, I
and all
played
his
Templars
characters
because
were
our guys were buddies.
yeah, all of his heroes were on wolves. And my pact goal was to kill his leader, and then Fame was to be in the middle of the map. And I did pretty well. I killed a lot of his army, like slaughtered them, but I got too invested in like trapping one of the packs of wolves, and it wasn't the one with his leader, and I just like encircled them and annihilated them. And then his leader was too far away, and winning the mission came down to rolling like one advance roll, and I failed it. So all I got from that was Fame. I got a little too much bloodlust going, and I lost sight of what I should be doing. But it was still a fun game. He was a really cool guy. Uh, he talked about 3D printing a lot.
Yeah.
He has like 20 3D printers or something. Uh,
I caught up with that guy. He and I chatted a good bit.
yeah, I knew you would enjoy talking to him. But yeah, they were very cool. It was a fun game.
Yeah, my guy was like buddies with the Space Wolves guy. He's playing Black Templars. Um, as you know, in the previous games, and as will continue to be the theme, the aberrants in my army were fucking gross and like the absolute MVPs. I just like ran up the board with a pack of 10 aberrants and an abominant. He had a land raider and like 2 packs of sword brethren. Charge right at him, and they all got smoked by the aberrants. So that was cool. I still lost. I keep losing. Fun fact: the one that I won turn 1, that's the only game that I won.
Me too.
But it was fucking fun, dude.
Yeah.
I
I
achieved
smoked
a lot
lot
of
Black
pack goals.
Templars. Yeah, I did too. I was
Yeah.
breaking through lines, and I was trying to keep my warlord alive in the middle. I did actually succeed in this one.
Hell yeah.
I got a little bit of fame there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day 2 was when I brought the skulls and I started trying to lean more into the RP. And when I started doing that, it was like I felt like I was getting the full experience of the event. So definitely, like, if you go to one of these, embrace the role playing, be your character, ham it up in both ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The day 2 stuff was pretty interesting. My first opponent was Death Guard, and he was doing a very similar thing to the multiple times that I've played Death Guard on stream. By the way, if you haven't checked out some of the Death Guard videos, we've got really good Death Guard videos where you can check out what I'm playing. But I was like, okay, you're doing the mortar trick with the virulent spotter guy, and I immediately just like annihilated that guy, and I got to ignore the mortars because they were then getting the full debuffs from shooting out of line of sight because the terrain was very awkward for him and he wasn't willing to go all the way out. And then we had a Land Raider versus Land Raider fight basically, and I barely won. And just dude, I knew exactly where he was positioning like stratagems and a few different things because I played the exact same army that he basically brought. And I was like, okay, I see this coming. I'm going to do this. I see this coming. I'm going to let you take that unit. And it was the entire reason why that matchup went well for me was because I was able to read
Like, what would I
his,
do in this
plays.
situation?
Exactly, yeah. And he would do exactly what I would do. He had a very similar play style. And about halfway through, I start talking to him about it. He's like, yeah, you did know a lot about Death Guard, didn't you? Because he'd be like, I think they're T6. I mean, yeah, buddy, they're T6. It was so funny. But yet again, in the middle of the board, alive with my commander, and he's holding the head of the enemy's warlord. So, felt good.
Oh, this was like the results of the kill team. The orbital.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess that's like a map of it.
Our
Yeah,
second,
Enlightenment won that. Blah blah blah.
yeah, our second game was in the ice locked fortress that day for Jordan and me, and those were some rough games because the terrain there was kind of like just open tundra and very sparse, and some Rainbow Warriors did me dirty. They ran across the field, just blew up most of my army on turn one. They were like the Firestorm detachment or whatever, so everything was assault, and I had
It's
like
pretty
very little
mechanized,
cover.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like almost all mechanized. He didn't have a single infantry on the board at the start of the turn.
Yeah.
I did manage to warp in and collect the skull of his warlord, though, so
Oh, I'm in
I
this
achieved
picture.
something.
Yeah,
my,
where are you?
My army board
Oh,
is like
yeah,
right
your
here on the
board is-
right.
Oh yeah, look at that. Hell yeah. You should
Oh,
check out
no.
our Discord if you want to see the army board in all of its glory. I'm pretty sure you posted it there, right, Jordan?
Yeah, it was a
Got
gorgeous
pictures,
army
bro.
board.
I got
Yeah,
pictures,
there
baby.
it is. Yeah. Oh man, look at
So
that.
Jordan was bummed out that he didn't win any awards for his army
I
or his
wasn't
army
really
board.
that bummed out. I kind of
However,
think I was gonna.
a literal guy from Weta Workshop came up to his board and was looking at it and was like taking pictures, being like, "Dude, this is awesome." So
That felt.
that's an
I didn't need
award in
any awards.
itself.
I didn't need any awards. That's all I needed. That's all the validation I needed.
You got the
Yeah.
praise of some of the best modelers in the industry.
That felt good.
Absolutely, dude. He came out of his way. He had somewhere to be, and he
He
stopped.
was like walking with somebody and talking with them.
Yeah.
And he like looked over and he like came over and he's like, "Holy shit, this is real." And he started taking pictures of it with his phone.
It was great,
It was
man.
so
It was
cool.
great. They're from New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Is that what he was saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're in New Zealand.
but is in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was my whole army board here.
Man, I love it. That looks so good, dude.
I wish I had had the time to do an army board. I'm definitely gonna figure out because I definitely want to do this next year if I can. I'm gonna prepare as if I'm going to because whatever I prepare for. Oh yeah, there you can see my Night Lord cosplay there.
Oh wait, this is spoilers.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of
Oh,
spoilers.
there's
Yeah,
spoilers in
it-
that.
No one
whoops,
noticed
whoops.
it. No, it's all right. It's premonitions, not spoilers.
Redacted.
Right.
Oh
man.
What was I saying? Yeah, I'm gonna like start preparing now, like whatever I'm gonna play, and like make a board and like get
already
it
know what
really
army I'm
well
playing.
painted. Yeah,
I'm taking AdMech, baby.
but what do you? AdMech? Nice,
Sheesh,
nice.
That'd be dope. All right.
We can talk about that Codex preview at the very end, by the way, but let's not get off track.
Yeah.
Right.
My second game of day 2, also an Ice Locked Fortress. Terrain was really bad, which was like compounded by the fact that my opponent was playing the Imperial Fist detachment. So poor terrain plus an army that just wants to shoot you from across the board. Didn't go well. I got tabled top of turn 3, so that was fun.
I think
The guy I
same
played
happened to
against
me.
was Primaris Kevin from Goonhammer.
Oh yeah.
So he and I had a nice conversation while he was casually kicking my ass. That was fun. He writes the Math Hammer articles there. Yeah, that was a good time.
So he was big braining you the whole time then, huh? He like
He was. It was funny because he was like really intrigued by the math, like the dice math going into killing my aberrants. He was like, "Huh? Turns out a 4-up Feel No Pain is really good, huh?" And he like starts crunching numbers and shit. It was funny, dude.
That's hysterical, dude. You might get a shout out in a Math Hammer article then.
Yeah, man.
That'd be amazing.
Turns out Muscle Beach is back
Yeah.
on the menu, baby.
Oh yeah. As rough as my game in the Ice Locked Fortress was, it was still a good time. My opponent was a nice guy. That's when I asked the Valhallan lady about her eye, and then she cheers me with her canteen and my bloodlight, and
Oh, and then Thedge came in and made the two guys duel.
oh yeah, so the guy I was playing Rainbow Warriors. Behind me was his brother, who was also a Night Lords player. It was like one of the few Night Lords player at the event. And then Thedge came by later, and I guess he had run into him before, and he knew they were brothers. And he was like, "You brothers, you must fight." And he put their commanders in like one of those little tower terrain pieces. I think they're from
I think there's a picture of one
Necromunda.
in here.
He was like, cage match.
Yeah,
And,
cage man.
he had them fight a
God.
duel against each other.
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
it was
Wait,
one
is
of
it?
these. It was one of these
Yeah.
that didn't have the top on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the Rainbow Warriors captain was, he had like Crusade. Everyone had
He had like a
Crusade buffs
4
at
up
that point.
feel no pain and shit. It was like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah.
It
The
was
Crusade buffs
rough.
were really starting
And,
to
like,
pop off in day 2.
Fedge was giving, so his brother also ran a Sorcerer Terminator as his lord, which was just, he was kind of boned from the start with that versus like a Gravis captain. But Fedge, like if he rolled the dice and like some of the numbers add up to 8, Fedge would be like, "That's an 8. You rolled an 8," and like give him all these bonuses. And he's the Night Lord guy still got his ass clapped by that.
I think
captain.
there was like one point where he had rolled, it was like a 1, it was like a 1, a 2, a 2 and a 3 or something like that. He's like, "Oh, well, I guess all of those miss." And he's like, "Wait! All of those add up to 8. You score an
Yeah.
8, which is better than 6, and so you get the devastating wounds."
Yeah. It was really funny.
It was so
It's
good.
Hysterical, man.
And then did he? I think he gave the Rainbow Warrior guy a mark of corn after that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he since the Rainbow Warrior guy won, he was like, "Kneel and take my mark," and the guy did it. And then after he did that, he started walking through the ice-locked fortress, like yelling for the Valhallan, being like, "Valhallan commander, I have corrupted one of your own." And just like he started doing it, and she like turned around and just started walking the other way real briskly. It was funny.
She like looked over his shoulder and then just like started ignoring him. It was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They had all of them had really good dynamics between each other. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was Matthew's army from Mini Wargaming.
Yeah.
We had a couple nice conversations
nice.
with him. He came and sat
Yeah.
down with us at lunch.
We had lunch with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
Sunday.
Very cool guy.
Yeah. So then all of that started happening. At the end of day 2, I think Pact of Annihilation kind of had a newfound fire lit under our asses, and we were finally taking it to the Enlightenment guys. Resistance seemed to be falling behind a little bit. Enlightenment guy, this was it day 2 that he came in, and everybody was like, "Hey man, what the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, so at the morning of day 2, he's like a little unhinged, and he's giving orders and then immediately changing the orders. And if you question his logic on it, like they were completely different orders and like very swiftly changed, and his logic didn't kind of like make sense. I can't remember an exact example. It was like, "Homie, what's up?" And he'd be like,
Yeah.
"If you question me even for a second, I will not hesitate to turn the guns of the orbital station on your forces." And it was just like, "Uh-oh, are you good, man?" And like he was walking around like suffering from pain and like having migraines and everything. And I'd walk up to him and I'd talk to him and be like, "Inquisitor, we have priests, we have apothecaries, we can get you aid, medical attention if you need it." And he would immediately dismiss you. He wouldn't listen to anything you had to say. He would send you on your way. He would bark like, "You have your orders, why are you still in front of me?" type stuff. It was everyone started to lose confidence in the wisdom of the Inquisitor starting at about right now, but it was
And
about 50-50. Some people were in,
think
some people were out.
At this point, we had learned that the command entity was an AI.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't know.
At the end of day 2, yeah.
At the end of day 2,
Mhm.
that was
Oh,
like
yeah,
when we found out that the command entity was an AI, and the Pact of Enlightenment Inquisitor Van Contrail had been kind of like commiserating with the AI, I guess.
Yeah, it got
like,
in his head.
Yeah.
During day 2, Fedge started being like, he's like, "I hear the call of the gods for blood and skulls, but there's also something else."
There's another voice
Requesting
layered
the
on
same
top or something
thing.
like that.
yeah, like asking for the same thing. Maybe this command entity can be worked with.
Yeah.
So he was like changing his position a little
So
bit
our,
also.
our orders
And
from at that point went from just kill everyone to, hey, maybe let's figure out what the command entity is doing and what it wants.
Yeah.
Then that's when we moved into day 3.
and it's
Um,
important to note. An important thing to note is like you could shift your allegiance during this whole thing. There was opportunities to like change sides if you didn't have faith in your commander. Uh, I think
well,
a few people did
so
that.
Enlightenment had like a big. Was that at the beginning of day 3 or was that?
So halfway through the beginning of day 3, the guy running the event, basically like the story crafter, his name was Zach. He was walking around. He was like, "I need a representative from each Enlightenment battle group," which we described earlier. It's like a cluster of about 10 people, and none others of my battle group stood up. And I was right next to him when he made that call out. I was like, "Yeah, battle group 14, which was me. Like, I'm your representative." And he pulls me and any of the other battle group representatives aside, and he's like, "Okay, I need to know, yes or no, as you stand right now, does your battle group still have faith in Inquisitor Van Trail?" And I started to kind of like commiserate with the other ones, and he's like, you guys are independent. This is like you without discussing it. How does each battle group feel?" And down the line entirely, me going first, I was like, we do not have faith in his ability to lead anymore. Something has gotten control of him. He's like, "Okay, thank you." And like, dude, there was like 6 of us there, and it was like, no faith, no faith, no faith, no. It was bad. Like everyone was like, "What the hell's wrong with this Inquisitor?"
Um, yeah. So then we played our first game. My first game was funny because I walked up to the table. My guy was there with his custodies, and he saw that I was playing GSC, and he just goes, "I'm sorry, I play in tournaments and I practice against GSC all the time." And so I was hosed like right from the beginning, but it was still fun.
Yeah, my first game was against a Chaos Marine player who was playing for Pact of Enlightenment. He had like mostly a Black Legion army, but then his like sort of command squad with his leader was Alpha Legion, and he was saying that like his lore was that his Alpha Legion guy like manipulated the Black Legion into like working with the Pact of Enlightenment because they wanted to release the AI, you
Mm.
know. So it was a pretty fun game. I didn't really play for the mission at all in that. At that point, I was just going for pact goals,
Yeah, same.
and also at that point, most of the games I had after about halfway through turn or day 2, actually both games in day 3 is a better way to put it. I got charged and got into a fight on turn 1 because people's crusade stuff was popping off, and they had like scouts
Dude,
and extra movement and
Yeah.
rerolls.
yeah.
And like his possessed, we were playing on the long side of the board. His possessed went all the way from his deployment zone into mine and charged my tanks. It was pretty wild, but I was able to destroy them, and I was able to break their lines with my Terminators, which was our pact goal. So I succeeded in that, and that was good enough for me. I got fame also, so
Yeah, you played Alpha
Hell
it was a
yeah.
Legion
fun
too,
game.
didn't you?
Well, of a sort, yeah. So my fifth game, first game of day 3, was versus Tau, and so a minor complaint about how some of these boards were set up. Some tables, in my opinion, had too much terrain, and some tables had too little terrain. And the terrain would get
Yeah.
moved around or bumped, and this was very much apparent by day 3. And like you could see what was intended, but also that it had been scooted as people pack up their armies, or as people probably like sit down to kind of take a breather or something. And like no one had readjusted it. And I guess that's kind of on me. I should have probably readjusted it at the beginning. The Tau player was very interested in keeping terrain the way that it had stood, which was pretty sparse to begin with. And as we're going, every time he would point and delete at something of mine, he would be like, "Hey, the model that just deleted your unit, check the little symbol that I painted under his like shin shield." And I'd look and be like, "Is that's the Hydra from like Alpharius, right? The Alpha Legion?" Like, "Yeah." these are Tau that have been tricked to follow Alpha Legion, and he had a like one of the Tau Christmas sweaters on, and he takes it off, and he's got a T-shirt underneath it that is the Alpha Legion thing. He did that at the start of turn 2, and also at the start of turn 2, like half my army was already packed up because he was deleting it off the board. But my Land Raider was just god rolling saves. Like I managed to, my Land Raider was saving versus like AP5 because I was popping Armor of Contempt. I had some Crusade stuff that was going on. A Tech Priest was just massaging its butt as it's like trying to trundle up the board, right? And I had cover because like I had like a little bit of cover from like some Dune stuff going on in there, and a lot of stuff evaporated, but my commander, yet again, found fame in the dead center. Oh, and some death companies chased down his cowardly commander and basically pulverized him with, I want to say, 8 Thunderhammers. So it felt good. I got my own personal victory out of that.
Oh, this guy was cool. This was Cadian Commander Steel, Cadian Sergeant Steel, something like that.
Yeah, I think he's got like an Instagram or something. Like he's very big in like the Cadian cosplay stuff. Oh, actually, all right. So I was talking to this guy. I got a question for you guys. What's the deal with Cadians and purple eyes? Is that like a thing that they all got?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Being born on
All
Cadian
the
because
natives...
you're so close to the rift.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
get like
Yeah.
purple eyes.
Every single eye
Like
on
in-
his army was purple, and he had purple contacts in.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Cadians have purple
In the
eyes.
Horus Heresy books, they go to Cadia like when it's not really established like it is in 40k. It's like they're kind of
Mhm.
like cavemen, and they're all these like tribal, basically chaos worshippers.
Yeah.
That have purple eyes, and at some point it gets like, you know, civilized by the Imperium, and all that's taken away. But in some other books I've read that had events on Cadia, they would talk about cults that would pop up every now and then. And that's like part of why the Cadians are the way they are, because they're like always on watch for like that shit popping up on their planet.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And like they usually send the Casterkin in to like wipe it out on Cadia.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's because they're heretics.
Yeah, this is a
I don't get you. Oh yeah, she was being further imbued.
Well, yeah. So at this point, if you can't figure it out, if it's not entirely obvious, the Pact of Resistance had become the Pact of Fate, and they were being led by the Exalted Leader, who is trying to become a Tzeentch Demon Prince.
Princess,
yeah.
I guess, in this point, yeah.
Well, she called herself a Demon Prince. So,
oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's probably, you know, like
I don't know how it
unigender
works.
term.
At this point, I said to Jordan, "How much you want to bet she comes in with a bird head at the end of the day?"
Yeah. I think like the end of day 1, Matt was like, "That bitch is Tzeentch."
Oh, dude, I was taking notes on all the briefings, and I couldn't remember the names at first, and like her, like I was kind of like summarizing her opening speech, and I didn't know what to name her, so I was like, Tzeentch Princess ? Like that was my name for her in my notes for the opening speeches. It was amazing. I was like, oh, called it, Kobe. That was great, dude. Now this
Just where,
all right.
There's you right there.
There's me. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that cutie back there. I wonder who that is.
There he is.
Yep. I'm videotaping, and I'm going to fill in my notes later. Now, this
So what was happening here?
This was part of the redemption ceremony for Sergeant Thunderfist. So Sergeant Thunderfist, who I called out earlier, that we saw in that earlier screenshot, at the end of day 1, he was tempted, I want to say, by it was one of the two Lords of War. I don't think it was the Corn one. I think it was the Tzeentch Princess. Got tempted with like help with chaos. He was about to lose his game, and that temptation actually helped him win his game. And then it came out that he had done so. And there was another Catachan Vox Localum, like basically a guy running the jungle arena, right? No, he was running
bad runs.
Yeah, so he was in charge of like the desert canyon area. So him being another Catachan, he had the unique authority to be able to strip this disgraceful Catachans of his honored red bandana. So he was stripped of his rank and given a very punishing quest of redemption, which most people were like, "You're gonna die before you complete that." Well, he worked on it throughout the entire, like he role played his butt off. This guy was everywhere at all times, still completing his games, still like having great games with his opponents, and like interacting with his battle group, but also like doing a whole ton of the lore stuff. He was fully dressed up as a Catachan. All of his insignias were removed after he got outed as like, taking temptation from chaos and stuff. This was part of the ceremony where he was redeemed because he completed that redemption story. So there was a returning of the bandana, and the Hierophant came up and was very eloquent and very verbose in the speech. And basically, what the speech boiled down to is like, "Hey, sometimes chaos happens to us all. Sometimes you're okay." And I'm just like, "Wait, what? 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 Chaos happens?"
I'm sorry.
It was amazing. Everyone played their part incredibly well. Sergeant Thunderfist rose as a redeemed Catachan, and he was like, people would shout for the sergeant every once in a while, especially his battle group really loved it, right? So it was great, man. It was awesome.
That's so good.
That's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so then I think we played our first game. All right, so this now at the end of the first game, some of us had our suspicions. We officially learned that our guy Vernal Thedge had struck a deal with Vashtor the Archaphane to provide him with this abominable intelligence for him to corrupt and unleash into the Imperium. And all of us were very excited by that prospect. We all like gathered around and we had a big meeting. And all of it was really cool because it kind of happened naturally, and then it kept just like happening throughout the rest of the day in the event. All of our, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne chants became souls for the soul forge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
There's a few voices of dissent, but
very few.
There were very few.
But that was just like somebody like at the end of the meeting just like randomly chanted that. There's like souls for the soul forge, and everybody was like, "Fuck yeah, souls for the soul forge, let's go!"
Yeah.
And then also
our other chant was just going.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was basically before, I think it started on day 2. Every time Vernal Thedge like walked in for one of these meetings or whatever, we would all just go.
We could hear like during the redemption ceremony, every like 3 minutes you would hear like way off in the distance. Yeah, dude. Everyone was just like, ignore the chaos for now. It was so funny, dude.
Being Pact of Annihilation was a lot of fun. We were just like a gaggle of barbarians.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Blood for the Bud God. All right, here we go.
God.
Sunday,
Dude.
14:30. Signal intercepted. This is Cantrail. 22 Sigma Alpha. Vengeance, vengeance, vengeance. Fire pattern Epsilon. All batteries fire at will. During our second games on Sunday, our final games of the event, homie Cantrail came to every table, and he was like, "I want an orbital strike right there." And he would orbital strike everybody's tables.
He would drop a die.
Yeah, he would drop a die.
He would like roll a die or drop a die on the table. And wherever it landed, that's where the orbital strike hit.
So my second game, this happened like near the beginning of our games. My second game, I had a pack of aberrants, as usual. And I was playing against another Pact of Annihilation guy because we didn't have enough people. So we had to come up with our own fluff about why we were playing. I had my pack of aberrants. They were surrounded by a big old blob of Terminators, a big old blob of Possessed, a big old blob of Chosen. He points at that big blob of shit, and he's like, "I want an orbital strike right there." And then he drops his die, and it completely misses. It whiffs everything. It just like bounces off to the side and misses everything. And so our guys are just sitting there fighting. It's just behind them. Boom, boom, boom. Orbital strike. Huh? What was that? Anyway, back to the fighting. So ours was uneventful. Ryan, how did your orbital strike go?
So apparently, when the orbital strike was happening on my table, I was over at your cart getting a beer.
You were at the bar when you got orbital strike.
He was at my
I
cart.
walked over to.
We had a stockpile of beers
just-
on my cart.
Yeah, like day 2 and day 3, Jordan and I were buying buckets of beer, and you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I walked over to get a Bud Light right as he dropped the die, but it bounced and hit like nothing but the orcs on the table. Which my game, now that I look back at it, it was kind of weird because like I was playing a 2v2 against 2 orc players, and I was with a Thousand Suns player, and
There's no reason for you to
Seems
play
like
2v2, but could have been
Yeah, like,
two
you
1v1s.
yeah, I don't know why it happened. He just asked, could we do a 2v2, and I was like, yeah, sure, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
And
they just
but
wanted
if
to
I
do
think
it, I
about
guess.
it, one of those orc players could have been playing you and your other Pact of Annihilation guy, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
oh well, it was a fun game. Those guys are really funny. They spoke in orc voices, not the whole time, but they would do it occasionally. And they had teeth for their command points, and they were just very like lighthearted, fun, having a good time. We got kind of clapped, but I was able to like take their commander head, complete a pact objective, and get fame. So
There you go.
yeah, it was a good game.
So I'm in Bad Runs Valley when the orbital strikes come down, and I see the Inquisitor walk up to my table, and he and I had some interactions before. Some what I thought were respectful, like an understanding. Like he had tasked me with some things. So far, I'd completed all the tasks. I offered him medical aid for the mind control headaches that he was suffering. I did vote to mutiny him. I don't know if that got to him or not. That might have.
You might have heard about that.
He might have heard about that one based on his actions. So he comes over to the table, and he catches our battle in the midst of me fighting basically a gargantuan just body rush of greater demons led by Bellicor. A great unclean one was right beside Bellicor. A Lord of Change was in the back, and a bloodthirster was looming across the canyon, ready to get in the next turn. And my Land Raider had just made it up and delivered a command retinue of Blade Guard veterans with a Blade Guard lieutenant and a Blade Guard captain, Thaddeus Ralphos. He was like my model representative. They had just connected charge along with some Death Company and Lamartis, who we thawed out on loan from the Blood Angels to lead this Death Company. So they were all charging in. I had just started to do my fights where everything was connecting into Bellicor, and he sees all of this going in the dead center of the table, and he orbital bombards it. He's like, that is too juicy of a target, and I'm sorry, but you are acceptable casualties. And he puts that die right there, and he says, everything within 12 inches of this takes D6 mortal wounds. And we roll almost everything took 5 or 6 mortal wounds. It was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. The Great Unclean one soaked it all, didn't care. It had a ton left to go. Bellicor was crippled pretty bad from some from some las cannon volleys, and the 6 mortal wounds went deep into Bellicor and basically brought him to like 4 health remaining before my captain has even touched him. So my captain's looking at this like, yes. The mortal wounds also pull 2 of my Blade Guard veterans out before they can even do anything. They're vaporized. They're gone. It kills some Death Company, and it takes the final few points off of my Land Raider, which then blows up and deals 6 more mortal wounds to everything around the Land Raider, which was basically everything that just been tagged. So the Land Raider blowing up then kills a lieutenant and some heavy fire support that I had with Eradicators. The Great Unclean one shrugs all that off. Bellicor is just barely out of range because of how it chains. The more Blade Guard veterans die, and so it's the captain. His command retinue is dead around him. The Land Raider that he'd been riding into battle and that had taken him to many victories had just been immediately smoked by Inquisitor's las cannon shots. And he makes his swings and slays Be'lakor on the first like stroke, essentially, with a with a Crusade Paragon blade that he had earned. And Be'lakor fell, but it was such a Pyrrhic victory that I had been crippled by so many things chaining out that essentially what. And so while this is all going on, the who was your guys's the Annihilation guy that went to Vashtor? What was his name?
Thedge.
Yeah, Thedge. Thedge was walking around and was like, hey, I don't care what pact you're in. If you take the Mark of Vashtor, I promise you we will leave this planet. And so I'm fighting, for some reason, he was Pact of Enlightenment. And I'm never going to trust demons, even if they're in my pack. So I felt fine fighting him. And I was like, I don't have a problem fighting you because I don't trust you. And then he takes the mark, and I was like, oh, I knew it all along. This is like a righteous fight then. He takes the mark, and like as we're resolving all these fights, Be'lakor's dead. And then what we say is like he won the game. I got my last point of fame from maximum 5 fame, basically. And all of his demons fade into the shadows with grins and chortles as it fades in the wind. And I'm sitting around with my my retinue essentially smoking and smoldering in the desert, wondering what the hell happened. So that being the last action of the narrative event to Thaddeus Ralphos is just beautiful. Chef's kiss, man. The fact that happened ambiently and with everything going on, like being betrayed by the Inquisitor, having my forces just detonate. Oh my God, it was amazing. That it was so sad to see that Land Raider go. I don't know how to describe it, but it was so much fun. Like that was just cherry on top of everything I'd worked for.
I don't remember. I think it was after the orbital strikes. Thedge came down to the scars during our last game, and he was like, "Does anybody want to take the mark?" Blah blah blah. Same kind of thing. The Vox Localum, CD17, the AdMech guy, was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take the mark of Vashtor."
Oh boy!
So we had a whole little ceremony down there where Thedge gave CD17 the mark of Vashtor. He pledged himself to chaos.
The guy from the Fivefold Forge also took it. I saw him walking around with it.
Well, he was already Dark Mech.
He was already Dark Mech, so yeah, that was not a hard sell for him.
Yeah, not at all. But yeah, CD17 then became Dark Mech too.
Damn. Bobber Dapero was asking if we cosplayed.
Bobber's
not
the
really.
Pyro.
I was wearing these because I was a Night Lord player on my glasses, but that's about it.
I put all my work onto my display board instead of a costume, unfortunately.
I did buy
definitely
one
would
of
like
their
to cosplay if I do it again.
Yeah. I managed to buy one of their Blood Angels t-shirts in the size that worked for me. And what I was doing is like really important rolls, I would put the dice in a chalice. I think we used it in one of the previous like Halloween streams, actually. The blood chalice. I would put it in there and then I would roll it into the dice tray. So, like drinking of the blood of Sanguinius and everything. I had little trinkets, but the role play was there a little bit. I can do so much better, and I plan on doing so much better for the next one.
Yeah,
so.
Next time we'll do much better. Bobber's saying they were the glitter orcs. Yeah, I saw you guys. You guys looked great. You had the like multicolored suit on and everything, I think.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Okay,
Dude,
I did see that. I think I walked
hard.
The orc players were having a lot of fun. Anytime an orc player like triggered his wah in his game, he would scream wah, and then all the other orcs in the area would all like scream wah.
Dude, by day 3, just like anytime an orc player screamed wah, like everybody in the room would join him.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I know. I was joining them by then.
Dude. It was like echoing through all the areas, right? I feel like it was encouraging.
It was like a wave. It was like everybody doing a wave. It was whoa. Yeah, the wah wave. There it is. Yeah. It was so funny, dude. Yeah. Now that I like am pretty sure I'm gonna go to the next one, I can like put more time into getting both a display board and a costume ready. instead of putting all my time
Yeah.
into just the one.
We need to all be in the same battle group next time, though, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
have synchronized
Hard agree.
synchronized
absolutely.
stuff.
I think that goes a long way. If anyone watching is thinking about doing this that hasn't done it yet, definitely make sure you if you're going with a friend, make sure you guys are in the same battle group. I was the odd man out on this one just because I really wanted to run Enlightenment with Blood Angels. Definitely stick with your buddies if you can, and either if you stick with your buddies or if you go solo, make those bonds quickly with your battle group, because those are the people you're going to be playing all
Yeah.
your games around, and it makes everything go smoother. Like
Yeah. It makes it more fun.
get to know those guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And like, I would recommend if you're going to one of these things, you'll have a Discord probably, unless something replaces Discord by then. Go into your battle group chat and like set up like on day one, like on a Thursday, like sign up, or on Friday, set up like, hey, let's all like meet like before it starts, if we can, like group up somewhere.
Yeah.
And just like, so you can learn the faces, learn the names,
Yeah.
kind of like start that camaraderie would be my suggestion.
for sure.
Yeah, I got to know some of the people in my battle group over the course of the 3 days, and it was really cool, like having that sort of bond.
For sure. Yeah.
Yo, Sean's already working on his army for next year. Let's go.
Hell yeah, Sean.
Ooh, homie, yes, boy.
Yeah, Sean's gonna be in our battle group next time.
Oh yeah. And what we're thinking about doing, I don't know. You guys mind if I talk about the display board idea we got going on? Yeah, linking display boards where it makes a mega display board, right? Yeah, that would be awesome. Where like, oh man, I can just there's so many opportunities there, right? Where it's like a panoramic type thing where it's like it starts inside of a mega building, and then one display board is like 50-50, and then another display board on the other side, or two of them, is like the outside, and they all link together, and it's like a giant just panoramic display.
Look, man,
yeah,
I learned all I need to know about building display boards this year. So,
well, you're gonna have to teach me. We're gonna have to have a display board.
Are we gonna wire
sesh.
LEDs into it?
Yeah, man. Shit, we can get what are the not orc tech marines, but they're tech boys. Are they called tech boys? What are they called?
Mech boys.
Mech boys.
Oh, okay, mech boys. I was gonna say tech deck,
Just
but I think
mechs.
that's a little skateboard. But yeah.
I didn't build a display board because I didn't have time, but I do know a thing or two about building model buildings from architecture classes, so we can pool our knowledge and resources. With a 3D printer, you can do some wild stuff.
You guys think the Bud Light on the left here is a good touch?
Oh, dude, brings it all together, baby. Yeah.
I'm worried I lost points. I think I lost points using Sprue.
I feel like it looked the part, if you ask me, but I get that. I do. Maybe they wanted, I don't know, like rebar, like miniature, like kind of like the train model rebar stuff or something. Did they talk to you like about the finer points and stuff or anything?
No, I didn't get to talk to anyone about it after the fact.
But
yeah.
Well, put it in the feedback card, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. So then, yeah, that was kind of like our final games ended up getting bombarded. And then, yep, the Inquisitor's furious bombardment claimed as many of their own troops as their enemies.
I think that line, because I remember
it references your game.
I think because the guy, the Voxlo column for the Badron area, he was the Catachan that had the authority to strip. Yeah, Agent Assisius Stone. So Stone, he I could see him in Discord describing what's going on. He's like, this is chain reacting a lot more. Like maximum damage on top of maximum damage. And I think that sentence exists partially because of what happened to me.
Your sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
And then yeah, there we go. Ryan called it. She got a bird head.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
You read that future correctly, Ryan. You might be a little Zinchi in your
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be a little Zinchi.
I mean, Night Lords are known for premonition.
I guess
Although I did not have premonition about what happened to Pact of Annihilation.
Well, Yeah, let's talk about y'all's fate real quick. All the packs had very interesting results.
Hey, we got sucked off
Yeah.
into the
That's one way to look at it.
into the Soul Forge.
Right.
So yeah, so Pact of Resistance won. I think
I don't
Bobert
think
said
they
it in the
really
chat
won.
earlier. I mean, if you were a Tzeentch follower in Pact of Resistance, you had like the best victory. If you weren't a Tzeentch follower in Pact of Resistance, you either are now or you're Tyranid food, I guess. Talk about what happened with the Pact of I just forgot the name of it. Enlightenment.
So that
Yeah,
was
because that was pretty cool.
fascinating. So
Oh, they don't even show it on
essentially,
here.
after
It's right there.
well,
It's below her picture.
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
like didn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
any pictures of it because the pictures would have been really cool.
So Colonel
Yeah.
Kulov and Stone, Agent Stone, basically captured and shackled the rogue Inquisitor from his orbital station Invictus and brought him before the surviving retinue to account and answer for his essentially disgrace of rank and sins against the Imperium. By way of public execution, they dispensed the Emperor's mercy on him with a bolt pistol round to the head, ingloriously, and in my opinion, deservedly, because I totaled Land Raider and a dead command retinue. So, we'll call that debt paid, is what the Barons of Dawn feel about that.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. See, I think the Pact of Annihilation won, right? Because we got the AI out, and we got the AI to Vashtor. Vashtor now has the AI. Our souls may have gotten sucked off, but you know what? It is what it is. We still won.
We got taken to the Soul Forge. There's worse places to go in 40K.
Like what did the Pact of Annihilation or the Pact of Fate get? They just got to leave.
They got to leave under the
they got to leave.
The Watch of Tzeentch.
They didn't.
She gave him a choice. Like I guess if you really hated Tzeentch and you're in Pact of Resistance / Fate, you could have been like, nah, I'm not going with you.
Yeah, it was Will.
Oh yeah.
So people in there made their choice, I guess.
Oh yeah, we talked earlier about the like mutiny meeting that they had basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
That's like, it's really cool to see like the things that you're doing. Like it feels a lot more like you have an individual impact than you would think. Like the story's actually changing based on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I think if you like go into it and you role play with the NPCs, you could have an impact on the narrative. But yeah, in the Pact of Enlightenment brief at the end there, it talks about how Kulov and Stone, and they say like a scant few others were able to escape once the force holding the ships to the planet was released. And our fate is pretty grim, but there is potential there, because if there's one thing that Vashtor likes is making a deal, and he just wants souls for the Soul Forge and like work. So you could come up with reasons to make it out of that, I suppose. But they definitely gave from what I can tell, they gave every NPC like a way out, and like they even talked about Thedge barred his way off world, ready to wield Arcaphane's favor in future conquests. Yeah. So it's possible that he'll show up in the next grand narrative, which would be cool.
It would be.
I hope so.
I'm wondering if like this stuff will like be introduced into a story or like a codex or something somewhere.
Dude,
I don't know.
That would be really fucking
affect,
cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to affect the lore. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm gonna keep an eye out for mentions of palette of the pallet system and of
Terrace.
the Sizzler system or Scissorack or whatever the hell it's called.
Sabarine?
Sizzler
Yeah.
system.
The Western Sizzling system.
We're going to Sizzlers,
Yeah,
the system, not the restaurant.
We'll have to have discussions about what faction we do. It is tempting to like take the same faction every time and like have them have the history of the past exploits, which is
Yeah.
like some people did in this one from the Sizzler system,
Yeah.
as Matt calls it.
I just
But
love
I
my-
feel like
I love
I'm
my
probably
Gene
going to
Stealer
be
cults.
pulled into being part of the Imperium for the next one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna end up doing Imperium. As much as I want to do my Gene Stealer cults, I don't think there's a way for me to take a chaos infected or chaos corrupted Xenos race and turn that into Imperium.
Yeah, it's
I don't think there's
it's
a
a
way
bit
for
of
me
a
to
hard
make
sell.
that work.
Yeah,
But you know,
you got an uphill lore battle, I'll say that.
were the tarot cards
yeah,
relevant
that's-
besides matchmaking? I don't think so.
Not
yeah,
that
I
I
think that was
know
just
of.
for matchmaking.
There was a very slight interaction in the Discord of the Pact of Enlightenment, actually. So the command staff would post inside your Discord chats, and it would be like highlighted and pinned messages. And there was also someone, I don't even know what their motivations really were. They were this very like confusing. It was probably the command entity. Their name was Scrap Code, and they would post
Yeah,
in all
that's-
caps,
oh,
and they
yeah.
would have like glitches. And
Yeah.
one guy was taunting Scrap Code, and the Scrap Code would just call him a fool over and over again. And this was like right before we started the game. He got dealt the Fool Tarot card. And like
Oh,
it was just
shit.
it was perfect, dude. Like it was just amazing that the Scrap
Interesting.
Code basically deemed him a fool, and he was a fool. And so anytime he would like pipe up and the Scrap Code noticed, he would be like, the fool speaks again. It was so funny, man. It was great.
It's amazing.
So the Scrap Code did talk in our Annihilation chat.
Scrap Code called us fools too, but that was today.
Oh.
Well, no.
What?
He said, all of you who have refused the offer of the Exalted Leader, I just want you to are fools.
That's
But you're
what I
my
just
favorite
said.
fools. Yeah, but we took the... Oh, the Exalted Leader wasn't our leader. Yeah, whoops. Never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
A different, higher leader, if you will.
All I was saying was he called us fools.
So the other thing that they talked about in our thing was that somebody asked about or talked about how there were emails sent out in response to me asking about if there was like any information about the resolution of the campaign. And so we might be getting an email in a couple of weeks with further information about the end of the campaign. I don't know what all that entails, but
I wonder if we'll get like a full kind of summary of everything that
Like a
happened.
breakdown.
Because like,
Yeah.
well, as you're playing through with your faction, you don't really know the finer details of what the other factions are doing, except by hearsay. There was a lot of like gossiping going on, which was
Yeah.
cool. A lot of gossiping about like
Yeah.
what the other factions were doing.
Mhm.
yeah, like my first game on the third day, your opponent, Jordan, came over to my opponent and started talking about stuff they heard, and they like looked at me and they were like, I can't tell you this right now. Let's wait until he's gone. And he like pulled him aside later and was talking about all the secrets. But yeah,
That's so
Scrap
funny.
Code said that we will get an email in a few weeks. So
Amazing. I'm looking forward to that. And whenever that email does come in next time, I'm in front of the camera, I'll make sure and describe what went on with the results of my email. So stay tuned to get more
yeah.
juicy details.
Bobbert's saying like they can send us what they got last year if we want to look at it.
Ooh, I would be very
Ooh.
interested in that. Yeah.
Was it like specific to your battle group, or was it just sort of general information, Bobbert? It'll take a minute for him.
Yeah.
For all the latency to
Follow
catch
the
up
World
on that.
Championships. Well, that was a whole different level of drama that we won't get into.
Oh yeah. Y'all can check out plenty of other
Wait,
channels to get the deets on that.
There's
The
a lot
drama
of
that went
Oh.
down.
at the World Championship.
World.
Oh yeah.
People
remember
calling
you guys
people
talking about that.
cheaters and yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
was a
mean,
whole-
whatever. If you guys attended in chat this year, let us know what your battle group number was. I'm very curious to see what they were. And all right, so this is something cool that they did. I could tell roughly by the number what packed someone in, because 1 through 14 was Enlightenment, 15 through I think in the 20s was Annihilation, I believe, and then anything that was high 20s or 30s was Resistance. And so you could just like hear the numbers and kind of pick up what was going on in your area. It was really fun.
Yeah, Ryan and I were in 17.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
You were in 8?
14. So that was the last battle group for
Oh
Pact of
yeah,
Enlightenment.
you were definitely the like pickup group pact or
Yeah,
battle group.
yeah. They like forgot to name us, because what you're able to do is you're able to like post in chat and be like, we've all agreed on this name.
You
So we've
post
got
the
like the
little-
Blade of Retribution, the Blessed Hammer, and like they weren't like updating our names. They're like, are we forgotten? Are we redacted? So when they finally got around to us, we were like, Battle Group 14, the Redacted. So
Nice.
yeah, it felt good.
Alright, let's see if he can. He's gonna post a link to Warcom if he can. I don't actually know if it'll try and block it or anything.
But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Mhm.
I think narratively, if you were Pact of Enlightenment, you could have a way out. I know people in our battle group, or at least in our Pact of Annihilation, have written in the lore channel like how they escaped, like just being thrown into a furnace. Enlightenment, you could just say like you were one of the scant few who escaped with Kulov or whatever.
Yeah, Kulov. Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it was Pact of Resistance got away.
Yeah.
Chaos upon the galaxy
Pact
in the
of
name
Fate.
of Tzeentch.
And they actually
yeah, my bad.
They won a whole friggin' video game. Everyone in the Pact of Fate gets a code for
Realms of Ruin.
Yeah, Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin,
Yeah.
the new RTS coming out, which they had demo games going. I actually didn't have enough time to really pick up a controller and have at it while it was also like downtime, but
I watched
neat.
it a little bit. It looks interesting.
Yeah.
If I was
Could
smarter,
be fun.
if I was smart enough for RTS games, I might try it. But
Yeah.
not, so.
Graphics look good. I might be worth checking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially if you were in the Pact of Fate, then you got a code in your email to remember the game by.
Crazies.
So what trinkets did you guys pick up to remember the Crusade by?
Oh yeah.
I got a mark on my forehead.
I bought a pot of paint.
Oh my man, that'll last forever, right?
I got a 3rd edition Space Marine land speeder that's out of print, which I kind of
Nice.
wanted because I used to have one for my 3rd edition starter box, and
Mhm.
now I've got one again. And you know what? If we're doing Imperium, it might show up at the next Grand Narrative.
Oh yeah, because we were using
Assuming it
Legends
still
rules.
has rules.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you
people
can
were
take
bringing Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cool. Like people bringing like mammoths and shit. It
Yeah,
was
guy I played against brought like a Spartan. I saw a Mastodon there.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah, not a mammoth. Same thing.
Man,
One of my opponents gave me a die, and I gave him a Slam Sector die, and I told him about the channel.
I handed out a bunch of Nurgle GST stickers.
Yeah. I'm really into 3D printing, and I made little 3D printed Oath of Moment markers that have the Blood Angel symbol on it. And at the end of a good game, I would give it to my opponent as just a token of remembering. So I got a few die that way too. So the Raptors guy with the Phobos trickery gave me a Raptors die in return, and I cherish it. Thanks, buddy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody I played
your
against
battle
was
group
really
made 3D
cool.
printed rings. That's pretty cool.
Wow,
Bobbert.
dude, nice.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we do as a battle group. We got to coordinate our trinkets.
Yeah.
We got a year to
That'll be
plan it, though.
interesting. Maybe like
Supposedly.
purity
Yeah,
seals
that'd
or
be
something if we're gonna lean into some of the ideas we got going on. I don't know.
Oh yeah, if we make a bunch of purity seals, we could like give them out to people who are, for the Emperor.
Righteous, yeah,
Yeah.
properly.
It was a great time. I highly recommend it. It is a little expensive, but I feel like I got my money's worth out of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
absolutely.
you're on the fence, just fucking go, man.
Hmm.
It's
The
great.
swag bag made the eye watering cost hurt a little less.
We got 3 free
um,
drink coupons each.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Your
And they
budget.
reach
Shop
worth
at the
like
store.
$10. Yeah.
Got a really shitty water bottle. Matt paid for the fancy swag bag, so he got a nicer water bottle.
A slightly better, like one of those little tumbler thermoses.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna run it through the dishwasher because it's immediately gonna start to like lose its print on like text. But I don't know if they do this for every premium swag bag, but you do get both copies. I did get both copies of that year's commemorative model. So
The AOS and
you know,
40K one.
yeah,
The
Slaves to
Commissar's
Darkness,
Duty, which was
Commissar's
featured in the
Duty.
Commissar's Duty.
Yeah, as featured in Commissar's Duty, featuring Commissar's Duty from Commissar's Duty. And then like I think it was like Slaves to Darkness, Cultist, Stink Eye, or something. I don't know, but it's some running angry caveman looking dude. So it'll be a fun kit bash for something.
Yeah, if you've got the time, make a cosplay, make your display board. If you don't, still go if you can, if you have the money. But embrace the role play, embrace the narrative, and just have a good time with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bring the fun and trust that
some-
your opponent will do the same.
Yeah.
Get some Dr. Scholl's gel inserts for your shoes.
Jesus. Fresh ones, because I wore old Dr. Scholl's, and even then, by the end of each day, my dogs were barking. So
I don't know, man. Stay hydrated. Take a water bottle.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Buy a beer bucket.
Next one, I'm taking a like floor mat. I'm gonna take a nice floor mat. I'm gonna throw it down, roll it up, put it on my cart.
Yeah. Bring some Cliff Bars or some
even if
snacks.
Even if it's in your town, just get a hotel room. That would be my recommendation.
Bring $66 for 3 buckets of beer.
Yeah.
You
gotta get those Blood Lights.
Blood Light.
And make sure you bring your favorite army, because that'll tell the best story. And
Alex
is
going to join us
really
next year.
What?
Alex!
Damn.
Woo!
Oh yeah,
boy. You're gonna run in there with some Harlequins.
Alex is joining us next week.
Yeah.
To play
That's
some,
right.
Star Wars Shatterpoint.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
That's gonna be fun. I got these minis right here that I gotta paint this week. There's a
sneak preview.
There's a little Darth Maul.
Wow.
Look at that.
These lightsabers are real skinny, man.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
I'm worried
good.
about like the antenna effect. That'll like how like every antenna ends up getting snapped off eventually. Like, is he just like on low battery at some point with his lightsaber? It's just like his lightsaber's like,
don't take them with you anywhere because they'll break if you try to transport them. Probably.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a spill. Remember my army spill? Oh my god.
Yeah,
well, I had
that
a beer
was
spill.
horrifying.
Yeah.
I hit I hit a bump when I was trying to like go to my last game. I hit a bump going through the door, and I had a beer, and it went boop and spilled all over my cart.
So
yeah,
given y'all's mishaps, do you think the carts are worth it, or something like my setup?
The only reason that mine was an issue was because I was taking that big ass display board with me.
Right.
If I didn't have that, it would have been a non-issue. Maybe I'll 3D print a cup holder to stick on there.
Oh, dude, let's talk. Absolutely. I love that idea because I could use like a 1 or a 3 for mine. So what I was doing is I was pushing my cart, and as I'm going forward, I have a long stride, and the cart was too close to me, and I put my foot down on the exposed wheel. So it stopped the wheel, but I was still pushing the cart, and that made it nosedive forward. I didn't have the lock all the way down. And so then it started to collapse on itself because of the side pressure and everything. So my army box, which is like the Hukoki Amazon thing, it goes forward, tumbles, and then tumbles again as it hits the ground from a height of like 4 feet, like 4 feet 6 inches. And I just hear like clatter, 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 clatter. I was like, oh my God. So we do a damage report, damage assessment, and essentially like 4 models lost an arm. No paint was destroyed. I think 1 metal miniature, specifically the Sanguinor, just went on a bullet drill through like the area that he was in, and broke a few dudes' arms. I had it fixed that same night, and I was good to go. So the stress test kind of worked. I would sign off on the durability seal of approval from Matt of Slam Sector on the Hukoki army carrier, as long as you like magnets, basically.
Yeah, it curdled my guts to watch that happen because I was walking right behind you. and it was just like slow motion. I was like,
I saw your life flashing before
oh
my eyes.
no,
Dude,
Yeah.
it was pucker factor. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was holding my breath as I was pulling them suckers out and being like, please, okay, please, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I painted you so much, please. Okay, it was fun.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a testament for that case.
It is, and that's the risk we all take going to these things, man. You're bringing prized possessions that you pour months of work, heart, sweat, tears. Some of us bleed into these paints, if you want to get real weird about it. But that's the risk you take. Even then, absolutely worth the risk. I say make sure you go to one of these events. I say get a cart. It goes a long way in just having like the extra footprint to be able to store data cards and notes and knickknacks and crap like that,
And snacks.
And
Snacks for
And
days.
beer buckets.
Beer bucket.
Bring your own
The liquid
bucket
snack.
for the
Yeah,
beer.
they ran out of
also.
buckets on the first day. So
They ran out of buckets. Yeah. So bring your own army specific beer bucket, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had a good time. Have a good time?
Yeah.
Sounds like we all had a good time.
Had a good time.
I had a damn
Yeah.
fine time. Yeah.
I'm gonna have an even
Not
better
much else
time
more
next
to say.
time.
Yeah, looking forward
when
to
Alex joins us, and it'll be a real
Yeah.
good time.
Alex is gonna be there. Sean's gonna be there.
I'll make a Harlequin's
Great.
army for Alex to play.
it. Ooh. Actually, I was thinking about Harlequin's armies. I bet they would really pop with some of those metallic like color shifter paints. That would be a really fun like way.
Oh,
to
I
do
have a bunch
Harlequins.
of those like Turbo Dork paints.
Yeah, that's what they're called, the Turbo Dorks. I think there's 3 other lines, but I really like the Turbo Dorks.
The Shiner Bot guys. Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
the like big old Shiner banner.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah.
The banners
saw
were
the Shiner
everywhere,
banner.
man.
Yeah. I didn't see the shiner part. Like it was blocked first time I saw it. I was like, oh, that's like a yellow goat head. And didn't like quite click. And then I saw Shiner. I was like, oh yeah, Shinerbach.
There we go.
Should we
That's a
make
good
like a
beer also.
standard for our battle group?
Ooh,
That'd be
cool.
good. We could have one of
Yeah.
us be the standard bearer. See, I think it'd be cool.
We can
Like,
hand it off.
I don't think we'll ever agree on one Space Marine chapter, but we
No,
can
I
have like
don't-
a cohort.
Yeah.
Oh, so all right.
like-
So
I
here's
mean,
what
a
I'm thinking.
battle group is made up of a bunch of different factions, right? Like
Exactly,
and
yeah.
even in the lore, like a battle group is like
Mhm.
you'll have sisters, you'll have Space Marines, you'll have
Guard.
Grey Knights, you'll have Guard.
Yeah.
Probably not Custodians,
Yeah.
but maybe.
If you're
it'd
real
be
friggin'
cool.
lucky with that plotter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool if like one of us was like a standard bearer, one of us was like a chaplain and had like some chaplain things, so that we could like all line up and he could like bless us and
Oh, sanguinary
just
priest could
different,
be
like-
the apothecary. Yeah.
yeah. There's different little roles,
Absolutely.
You could bring some blood angels juice to put in the chalice and like
Dude,
repair our
at the-
wounds.
Dude, hey, they make boxed wine for a reason. All right, man. That's all I'm saying.
People
I
have
will be
bottles of
checking
liquor in
IDs.
there.
Yeah, that might have been
they-
an
they
ask for
weren't-
forgiveness, not
They
permission.
weren't
thing.
brazenly carrying them around like they were in their bags, but they'd be like, "Hey, y'all want a shot?" and whip out a bottle of tequila.
There
Yes,
you go,
please.
man. Don't mind if I do. Too good.
But I think that probably just about covers our experience there, right?
Absolutely. If you also had a good time at the Grand Narrative, go ahead and let us know in the comments below. And thank you for tuning in, y'all. This has been a fun one.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Bobbert, and everybody else.
Hit us with a little like and a little sub. Helps us out a lot. And we're not gonna have a stream this Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. But Monday, our boy Alex from Star Wars Explained here, he's gonna be playing Star Wars Shatterpoint with us. It's gonna be a ton of fun learning a
Yeah,
new game
this
system.
Thursday I'm gonna be streaming gravy down my throat.
All right. Goodbye.